you got to go for it. I'm telling you right now, I'm the one. Let me be the voice of reason. Go for it. You won't regret it. You won't regret it. Don't wait until it's too late. Just go for it. If you choose something that you truly love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. Go for it.
Drum Brigade.
What is up, everybody? Korey Kingston here from the Drum Brigade, doing the Acceptance Podcast on the Drum Brigade Podcast Network. So happy to be here to do my second episode of the Acceptance Podcast. Adding video into the element. Oh my goodness. More pressure on me, but it's all good. I'm happy to be here. Today we're talking about a different subject, but before we get started, I just wanted to touch on a few things that we have going on at the Drum Brigade. So first of all, anything that you guys want to know about Drum Brigade or acceptance or anything like that, just go to drumbrigade.com, www.drumbrigade.com, of course. And there we have all kinds of information. We do a thing on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays called Chops and Coffee. Everyone is welcome. It's a drum warm-up, some morning motivation. It's at 7 a.m. in the morning. And we just added a chat room for our Chops and Coffee people. So if you want to jump on there, just let me know. Use the contact form or hit the I want to sign up button at Chops and Coffee. It's on the Drum Brigade website. You can use the contact form as well. We also have a lesson program, all kinds of things with that. You can take one-on-one lessons with me or Funky Phil. And we're adding some other guys in the mix too. Kevin Iguchi's coming on board and doing some stuff with Drum Brigade. And so, yeah, we can get you contacted with all of that, get you hooked up, get you to be a part of the brigade where you are accepted and you belong. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to move on and jump onto this podcast. I hope you enjoy. This is the Acceptance Podcast. Someone once told me, choose something you truly love to do, and you'll never work a day in your life. I'm sure you've heard that before. It's a very common phrase. It's something that changed my life. When I started thinking like that, it changed my life. It changed my career. I suddenly didn't think the way that I used to think. Choose something you truly love to do, and you'll never work a day in your life. Man, that resonates with me. So what does that mean? The topic of today's podcast is the word love. So love, again, is another word that can mean different things to different people. And I'm not talking about romantic love. That's another podcast, as I always say. But no, if you look up the word love, it's an intense feeling of deep affection. So I liken that intense feeling of deep affection to what I love doing, which is drumming, of course. So, man, it wasn't always that way. I can't say that I didn't always have a deep feeling of intense feeling of deep affection for drumming. Of course I did. I always tell the story, I don't ever remember the time when I started playing drums. I just always did. So it's something that has always been a part of me. It's something that I always loved. But throughout my career, it hasn't always had that feeling. There's times in my career where it's felt like I'm definitely at work. I'm grinding. I'm not feeling this. I can't wait until I can go home. That's not the way I feel like it should be for me. So this podcast, again, is about love. It's about loving what you truly do, doing what you truly love, and making that a career. So going back, telling the stories of my career and how I developed as, who I am today and all of that stuff, building Drum Brigade and building it around acceptance and belonging and all of that stuff. If I don't tell the story of, how I got to this point, then I'm missing my whole point, my whole journey. So I tell a lot of stories on this podcast. As you guys know, I tell a lot of stories on the Drum Brigade podcast, as you guys know. Anyways, taking it way back to when I started playing professionally. Before I started playing professionally, I loved nothing more than playing drums. Maybe bike riding, maybe cycling. That was like a close second. But it was never something that was negative. It was never something that I felt like I shouldn't be doing this. I feel inferior doing this. It was never like that. It was always something that I did, enjoyed. It was something that made me me, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. But when I started playing professionally, that's when things started getting a little weird, a little wonky, as they say. When I started playing professionally, I was about 14 or 15 years old. I started playing gigs around town, loved it, thought it was great. But then I started dealing with the negative feelings from everybody else. So my mom, who is one, my parents are very supportive of my music, especially now. But then I was a 14, 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, playing late at night, sleeping in during the day, to be rested for my gig again that night. Now, mind you, I was making more than my friends that were doing whatever, manual labor or whatever, and I was loving what I was doing. But my mom was like, nah, you got to get a real job. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm working, I'm making money. I thought this was a real job. And in her mind, that's not a real job. Getting up, playing drums, basically using my hobby as my work was not real life. So my mom was like, it's time for you to get a job. And, that it sounds negative, but it wasn't. It was because I was a teenager, and I needed to learn a trade. And in her eyes, I needed to, and we're also very different people in as far as back then. My parents are from the old school where you work, you don't like it. You grind, you make money to provide, and then you have fun on the weekends or you take a vacation. But you're not supposed to like work. It's work. You do your work. You don't complain. And that's it. So I kind of had to fall in that rut. I had to fall in line of like, you're right. I enjoy this. I'm not supposed to enjoy it. I need to get a job. So I did. And I got a job at a restaurant making pizzas. Hated it. Hated every day of it. I couldn't stand it. I hated being back by the ovens. I just did not like it. I hated people ordering me around. I just felt like I was wasting my time doing that. And I was still trying to play my gigs on top of that. So I had 2 jobs as my first job. And what ended up happening is I worked 2 weeks, got my first paycheck, couldn't believe how small my paycheck was. And then I had a gig on that Friday. So I went to play my gig. I said, hey, I need the night off. I have a gig. And they're like, you can't have the night off. That's not the way this works. My shift manager or whatever you want to call her. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I have a gig where I'm making money. And she's like, no. Friday's our big day. You need to figure out what's most important for you. And you need to make that decision and come back to me. So I was like, thank you very much. I can make that decision right now. And I took my apron off and handed it to her and went ahead and made more that one night on my gig than I did the whole 2 weeks working at a pizza place. That wasn't the end of it. I had so many just crap jobs. But a big career move for me was I started learning a trade. My mom, again, told me I needed to learn a trade and have something to fall back on. So I learned how to do flooring. I started in manual labor. I started from the bottom and worked my way all the way up to being a foreman and then being a contractor and having a 20-man team and doing high-end carpet jobs and skyscrapers in downtown LA and running the whole thing. A lot of people would think that's a great job. It wasn't for me. It was a great job. And I was really happy learning a trade, but it still wasn't what I truly had an intense feeling of deep affection for. I've tricked my mind into believing that I love doing that. But I didn't. I was very vocal about it too. I hated doing flooring. And so, I did like the idea of learning a trade. And the thing about carpet that I loved or flooring that I loved is there's patterns to it. There's steps. You have to come in, you do this first, then you do this second, then you do this third, and then, there's, even when you're installing a room, there's a pattern to it. You have to do it this way. You do this step first, this step second, and then it all comes together. And I loved finishing the job and vacuuming the place and seeing the owners and how happy they were and seeing how clean the house looked and how different it looked with new carpet, and all that stuff was really rewarding, seeing the fruits of your labor and finishing a job and working hard, and realizing that you did that. That's pretty amazing. It's a pretty amazing feeling no matter how bad the job was. So, but it still wasn't my passion. It still wasn't what I really loved to do. I was happy to learn a trade, all of that stuff. I did that for about 15 years. Had some of the worst bosses I've ever had. That's a different podcast. That's on the list, actually, working for people that you don't like working for. Anyways, yeah. I dealt with a lot of people just forcing me to do something that I didn't want to do. And, like bad decision, I don't know, maybe not. But it still wasn't me. It still felt like I was a tremendous waste of time when I was doing it. What am I doing this for? Am I going to be doing this when I'm 65, 70 years old still? I was working for a guy that was in his 70s, still doing carpet. And he would always tell me all the time, you got to get out of this, kid. Do something else. Maybe go into like supervising or something like that. You can't be an installer your whole life, and when you're in your 20s, I don't care. I was just like, man, I work hard. I get paid. I party on the weekends. That was my whole life. Well, transitioning into my music career, I started touring like crazy. And, now that's where things get tricky, because a lot of people started telling me that this is a dream. I'm living in a dream world. This is like, you're living the dream, man. You're touring all the time. You're traveling in all these exotic, cool places. You're spending months on the road. You're never home. But at the end of the day, man, I wasn't really happy doing that either. I hated it. Like, again, that's okay. So that's a little bit, I didn't hate it. There was days where I hated it. There was days where I wanted to come home so bad that I was contemplating breaking the law and getting deported so I never had to come back again. That's how bad it got on the road sometimes for me, man. So, but then there was good days. There was days, when I would come home and I'd be like, I would just give anything to be back out there again. But I'll get into why it wasn't really like the perfect situation. I guess there isn't really a perfect situation, but I guess the word I'm looking for is it wasn't really making me truly happy. I wasn't really in love with what I was doing. I love the idea of being on tour, and that's kind of a thing that has been, we're told in the music industry, if you're not touring with some big major actor, you're not playing arenas, or you're not doing this, we're comparing ourselves to everybody else. That's one thing that helps us not feel accepted. But two, it makes us feel inferior. Two, it's a bar that we raise for ourselves that, it's like, we're not doing it unless we're doing it at this level. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. For me, it's not. For me, it's for sure not. So I had a negative disposition about my touring. A lot of days I just couldn't get into it. And I just wanted to come home so bad, but a lot of that was the way that I was doing it, the way that I was touring. I was grinding. I was out there just, as soon as I get home, I wouldn't have any time to breathe. I would have to get out and go on tour again. And a lot of the tours we were doing were not great tours. They were just, we weren't making a lot of money. We weren't eating good food. We were just drinking a lot and spending a lot of time in the backstage venue area, graffiti on the wall, just negative space. I was with guys that I wasn't totally getting along with. They weren't the most positive people for me to be around. And so, I kind of tried to change that. And I started coming to the realization, hey, if I have drumsticks in my hands, then I'm happy. So as long as I'm playing my drums, I tried to appreciate more of what I was doing. So I love playing drums, and I know that. As long as I have drumsticks in my hands, I'm happy. Whether that's touring, whether that's teaching, whether that's gigging, whether that's recording, whatever it is, if I have drumsticks in my hands, I'm good. That started going south a little bit too. So it's what I'm saying is, you know, you have to try to figure out what it is that you truly love. And that's what I'm going to get into. You know, my career, this is a positive podcast. So my career is not all about negativity. I didn't hate every minute of what I was doing. I didn't hate every minute of doing carpet. I didn't hate every minute of, you know, playing drums and going on tour and doing, I loved most days of that. I would look around and be like, man, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm jumping on a plane and doing that. But then there's days where you're just, you know, I'm borderline depressed. There's days where I was for sure depressed and would give anything to get home. So switching to a more positive disposition, I tried to fix that idea of, look, I truly love playing my drums, but I have to figure out the perfect scenario, the perfect combination, the perfect recipe to try to alter what I'm doing to fix it to where I truly love every time I'm behind my drums. And that wasn't really until recently. So what had to happen was I had to change my mindset of what is acceptable and what isn't. There's that word again. This is a different way of using it though. But what is it that I truly love about playing my drums? And this could be anything. You could take drums out and put whatever it is you do. I want to, you know, I truly love being a professional horseback rider. I don't know, whatever it is that you do. I truly love being a professional mechanic. I truly love being a professional house cleaner. It doesn't matter. Just replace it with whatever you are. For me, it's being a professional musician. It wasn't until I changed my mindset to figure out what I truly loved about having drumsticks in my hands. That's when things changed. That's when I was living that saying, choose something you truly love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. So when I changed my mindset, I started playing by my rules. Okay? This is my life, this is my career, and I'm going to play by my rules. So what that meant for me was sometimes I got to say no. Plain and simple. Sometimes I got to say yes, but sometimes I got to say no. We live our life. I mean, I was literally living my gigging, touring life as like another guy, kind of mentor guy, older guy told me the way that he runs his business as a musician, professional musician, he builds jingles and stuff for commercials, is he never says no. He can't say no to money. Money is money. It's always income. It's coming in for him. If he says no, then he's missing out on, you know, putting food on the table. I agree with that to a certain extent. And I really tried to enforce that in my drumming career. So, you know, I tried to say yes to everything. Casino gig, bring it on. Wedding gig, bring it on. Tour, bring it on. Fly out, bring it on. Session, bring it on. You name it. As long as I have drumsticks in my hands, I'm happy. But you know, it didn't work for me. That didn't work for me because then I started ending up being in these situations with musicians who didn't appreciate what I do. I started being on gigs and playing for people who didn't appreciate what I do. I didn't feel like I was playing to my full potential. I felt like I was phoning it in most gigs just to collect a check. You know, and so I started changing that. I started changing, hey, I know my worth. I figured out this is what I think I'm worth, and this is what I think I'm worth for this gig. Or this is what I feel like I'm worth for this session. This is what I feel like I'm worth for this lesson. This is what I feel like I'm worth. And I want to get paid what's suitable for me. If I think I'm worth this much, now within reason, yeah, I think I'm worth $1 billion. Okay, but you know, unfortunately, that's not what people get paid for what I do. So reasonable. Am I the cheapest? I don't think so. I think I'm reasonable though. I don't think I'm the cheapest teacher. I don't think I'm the cheapest to hire me for a session, but I think I'm reasonable. But I think I'm not going to be on Fiverr being like, I'll track drums at my studio for $10. That's just not what I do. I'm not your guy. And I'm totally happy saying I'm not your guy. Maybe you look for somebody else. So I wanted to get paid what I think is suitable. I wanted to play with people that appreciate what I do and play with people who are positive, who are going to be upbuilding and making me feel good when I leave the gig. And then I changed my tour routine. So there was some tours that I have straight up turned down. I'm not going to just say yes to your tour just because I want to get out there and tour. And there has been some that have been offered to me where I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't do it. This is what I would do it for. We're not even the same ballpark. So let's just still be friends and like, let's move on. Let me know if you got anything in town that I can take, So I guess that sounds kind of bad. I don't want to like take any gigs, but you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to say no. So, I changed my routine on tour too. So if I'm on tour, I've had to explain, hey, this is the standard. This is, I won't do your tour if, certain things that are going to make me feel comfortable. I'm not going to share rooms with, I'm okay with sharing rooms, but I'm not going to share beds with people. I'm not going to be sleeping on couches and sleeping on the floor. I'm not going to be, whatever. I need this amount, this much per day. I need this much per diem. Whatever your standard is, I had to set some standards. Not only that, on tour, I realized that a lot of the time what I was doing was touring in a way that was just super depressing. Like getting to the venue, staying at the venue all day long, just staying in the backstage area, grimy backstage area, drinking all day, getting drunk before we go on stage, partying that night, being bummed out during the day, whatever you want to call it. You know the story. And so there wasn't a lot of like crazy partying and stuff like that. It was just more, it wasn't upbuilding and anyways, what I did was changed the style of how I do it. So it's like, hey, when I'm there, I'm going to take some time to go out, explore, take some photos, go sit on a canal somewhere and chill and like reflect, see what the city's about, see what this town is about, even if it's for a few minutes. And that really changed the game for me to where it was like, man, I can't wait to get back out there again. I can't wait to get back out there. But at the end of the day, I started trying to ask myself, if I had all the money I needed, would I do this for free? Do I love what I'm doing so much that I would do it for free? So do I love teaching so much that I would do it for free if I didn't need the money? If I really didn't need the money, would I do this tour for free? Am I getting that much out of this? Am I getting that much joy out of this? That's a definite, it's a difficult question because we want to get paid what our worth is. But at the end of the day, my answer is yes. I would love to do a flyout date if it's to my standards and if I have all the money that I need and I don't really need to get paid whatever I'm getting paid for this. I would love to just be like, you know what, man, it's cool. I had a great time out here and I played one of the best shows of my life. You keep the money. You could probably do something more to build this band and fly us out here again to do this. When I changed that thought, that mentality, at the end of my day, when I'm like, man, I am tired. I just taught however many students today and I'm exhausted, but I loved it. I loved it. I just had to join this Zoom meeting and I had to lead this group like we do for Chops and Coffee. Every time I don't get paid for Chops and Coffee. Every time I do that, I leave more energized and more amped for my day than I did when I started. That's what I'm talking about. So it's how you feel. What is it in your mind that is priceless? I don't mean this is, maybe I do mean it's worth so much that there's no amount of money that you need to get paid for this. You just love doing it. I mean, do you really feel like what you're doing is at that level, big or small, what is it that you love that much? That's truly an intense feeling of deep affection for what you're doing. I love the idea of that. That just took away, when I said that, when I came to that conclusion, it was like a release of energy for me, where it was like, I love doing this so much. It's not even about the money. It's just about me getting the feeling that I get when I play my drums. That's incredible. So how do we do that? How do we capture that? You know, we got to think about 80% of people. I've heard a statistic, I guess. 80% of people don't enjoy their work, and 20% of people do. So 80% of people just clock in. I mean, even if the facade is you love what you do, like, you know, like me, clocking in, just going to work, phoning it in. No one's paying attention, just play my gig, you know. And of course there's days where I have to take those gigs, you know. But I still want to do it in a way that my mind is with me, where I'm saying, hey, I still love what I'm doing. I'm playing for me. I'm playing for the other musicians. Who cares if no one's listening? I would do this for free. So I don't want to be that 80% of people that are clocking in and just, that's how I did carpet. One step after the next. I'm a robot doing my job because I'm supposed to learn a trade. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the 20% who gets paid to do what I absolutely love. I don't feel like I'm working. I should be paying you to do this. I think about people out there that have had success doing what they love. One of the people that I think about is a professional cyclist. He's an endurance cyclist, an endurance athlete. His name is Mark Beaumont. And I don't know him personally, but I'm a fan of his. Mark Beaumont is a British long-distance cyclist, as I mentioned. He's a broadcaster and an author, but he holds some world records for cycling around the world. A lot of people would think, who would do that? Who would want to do that? I mean, it's agonizing, you know, pain, and that's what he does. He holds a world record for completing 18,000 miles on September 18th, 2017, in less than 80 days. So that's over 200. It's about 250 miles a day that he's cycling 7 days a week. Amazing. This is a guy though that has taken it to the next level. You know, he's just taken something that he loves and taken that to the next level. So he has several documentaries out there. They're on YouTube. They were on BBC, all that stuff. But on one of his documentaries, it's called The Man Who Cycled the World. He has another one that's called The Man Who Cycled the Americas. It starts in Alaska and he cycles all the way to Argentina. And then he does these summit mountain climbs. At the beginning, he does it. And then at the end in Argentina, he does it. Pretty crazy. But anyways, I was thinking about that like at the beginning of the Man Who Cycled the World, it talks about how much he loved cycling. And it shows footage of him when he was a young kid, and his first ride, I think he rode through France or something like that. And he just had to ride his bike, and he had to ride it a long distance. It was just part of his adventure, part of his thing. He just loved it. And he took that passion and turned it into success, broke world records and got paid to do it, you know? And so it wasn't, what he did was he didn't just take that idea of him wanting to be a cyclist, you know, a long distance endurance cyclist, and was just like, yeah, I'm just going to go on a ride and hopefully people will just throw money at me along the journey. I mean, it's not that simple. So he figured out a way to monetize this dream of his, long distance cycling, breaking world records, doing his thing, having BBC document this, make a documentary out of it. He's written books about his journey. He's gotten sponsors. He had a custom bike built, bike shops sponsoring him. All of the stuff was monetizing him to do what he did, to make money at what he did and continues to do. And that's basically, at the end of the day, that's it. It was a great idea, and he found a way to get money to do it. I mean, simple, right? I mean, easier said than done. if we really love drumming, or you really want to be a professional musician, I mean, how do you monetize that? Well, I mean, that's something that we got to figure out. So the first step to that is, first of all, finding out what it is that you truly love to do, even within your field. Find out what it is you truly love to do. Sometimes it's not what you think it is. So for me, I never thought I would be a teacher. I never thought I would teach drum lessons. I never thought I was good enough to do that. I never thought I just never thought that. And, sometimes it takes you talking to other people. It takes you reaching out to friends, family, colleagues, even asking, hey, what do you think that I'm good at? What is it that I'm good at? I'm trying to self-reflect. I'm trying to figure out, what do you think I'm good at? What is it? There's certain things that I love. I love playing drums. I love doing this in this capacity, but maybe it's something that you don't know. For me, I was touring, like I said. I loved doing that, or I loved elements of that. I loved playing my drums. That was no secret. But I was completely unrelated, working with a coach for some sports stuff. And that coach, I asked him how he does what he does. How do you teach? How do you do what you do? And he's like, man, you would be a great teacher. I mean, it was like unrelated. I wasn't even asking for that. You would be a great teacher. And I'm like, me? What do you mean? Yeah, man, you would be a great teacher. You'd know how to do it. You know how to do it. You have what it takes. You've been trained for this your whole life, through my congregation. Wow, really? You think so? Started putting it to work, and that's that. It took a lot of learning, but I had to do it. So, again, figure out what it is that you love. Don't do it because people are telling you shouldn't do it, or don't do what people are telling you to do. So again, my example of my mom and dad telling me, you need to get a real job. You need to learn a trade. And here I am years later back at playing drums. So don't do it because people would like you to do it. Hey, you should do this. I don't think that's a great idea. I think you should go for what you believe in, what you're confident in. Do what you love to do, like you are excited to wake up to do. That sounds backwards. Do something that you're excited to wake up for is what I'm trying to say. So what gets you out of bed? What drives you? If you get out of bed and you're just like, man, I really hate doing push-ups, maybe that's not the line for you. You don't want to be a personal trainer. Maybe it is. I don't know. Change what you love. Change that into what you love, I should say. Change what you're excited to wake up for into what you love. So push it. Go for it. Do it. Be open to new opportunities. That's what I have written down here. Be open to new opportunities. Again, I knew that I loved drumming. I didn't know that I would love teaching as much as I love gigging. I can honestly say there's nothing like walking on stage and playing to a huge sold out crowd. There's nothing like that. That amount of energy and that feeling is amazing. But for me, when I teach somebody something and then I see them use that, or I see them perform that, or I see the smile on their face that they accomplished something, man, that's a close second for me. That's a really great feeling, a big accomplishment for me, and I love that. So be open to new opportunities. It may not be what you think. I never thought I would be, a session guy that can just go in and play to a click and read down a chart and play, a session. Again, something that I really love about playing gigs or playing drums, I should say. Take a chance. Take a chance on yourself. So again, don't let anybody tell you can't do this. I mean, I'm telling you, I've had so many people tell me Drum Brigade's a bad idea. Maybe not that bold and up front, but I've had a lot of people, question things. What is Drum Brigade about? Well, you need to sell something, you need to have a product. You need. Dude, this isn't your vision. This is my vision. Okay. At the end of the day, that person who's telling you shouldn't do this is not the one taking a chance. You're the one taking the chance. They're probably feeling guilty that they haven't taken any chances in their life. So it's up to you. You got to take the chance. Have some confidence in your abilities. Have some confidence in what you think, have some confidence in what you love to do. All these people that you see that are doing it, I drive down the street and I see these people that have an ice cream place or like a sandwich place or, some kind of thing. And it's been their dream to open up, a boutique shop or something like that. And I'm just like, man, these days, especially, you're taking a risk. How many people were like, you really want to open an ice cream shop or like a boutique kind of, apparel shop or something? Like, you really want to do that? How many people said that to them before they did it? And then how many of those people are back with them like, yo, can I get a discount? So, you take a chance and you're doing what you love and nobody else is going to stop you. Think about the people who've done that on a huge, massive level, like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. How many of those people were like, you want to build an electric car? Come on, bro. Like, come back to Earth. I mean, that dude is still going through that with people like, you want to colonize Mars? Bro, come on. Like, take it down a notch. You've done enough. I mean, seriously, who's going to hold back Elon Musk from doing anything? And look at where we're at. Like, who tried to hold back Steve Jobs, and look at where we're at right now. You're probably listening to this podcast on one of the devices that he probably developed. It's crazy to think like that. Take a chance. Now, if you're trying to do something that you really love, the next step I would say is try to get as good as you can at that. Try to do your best in what you do. So try to do your best in what you love to do, I guess. Now, you can take that in a bunch of different areas. Yes, maybe you do want to be the best at what you do. For me, I try to improve. I try to get as good as I can, but I know I'm not the best. But you don't have to be the best to be good at what you do and to make a living at what you truly love to do. You don't have to be the best. Think about the most successful people out there in my field. Or in your field. Think about in the drum world. Think about the most successful drummers in the world. So the most successful, financially, the most successful drummers in the world, I could name a few, like maybe Travis Barker, Chad Smith, let's see, Tommy Lee, Neil Peart when he was alive. I don't know, any of those kind of guys, and big major, Lars Ulrich, big major rock bands, huge famous guys, probably the most successful musicians in the world, right? Are those guys the best at drumming? I mean, I know a lot of guys, Neil Peart's the best, but at the end of the day, true masters at drumming, I would say they're far from that. Lars Ulrich is far from being a true master at drumming. No offense, very successful, highly respected. I respect you. It's all good. But the best, I don't know. And you think about the masters in our field, the masters. So I would say the masters in our field in drumming, Vinny Colaiuta, Virgil Donati, Gergo Borlai, I don't know, Steve Smith. Steve Smith's like in the middle because he was in Journey, so he's in other bands. So who knows if he's one of the most successful drummers of all time, but I would say those guys are masters at drumming, the best in the world. That's my opinion. I know opinions vary. Anyways, I don't think that they're on the level of a Travis Barker, a Tommy Lee, Chad Smith, a Lars Ulrich. I don't think anybody's on the level of Lars Ulrich and Travis Barker. Those guys are next level, but definitely not the best, right? Okay, so, great bands, all that stuff. That I don't need to disclaim that. We all know, but they're not the best masters, and they make substantially more money than the masters at our craft do. So what I'm saying is, you can get as good as you can. You can try to do your best, but most likely, if it is a huge passion of yours, there's nothing holding you back from pursuing that as your thing. as your job, as your happiness. All right. So we got to figure out what brings value. What does the thing that you love, how does it bring value to everybody else? What value does it bring? Example again is my teaching. When I make videos for YouTube or something like that, it doesn't bring as much value as actually showing somebody how to play one-on-one. That's just something that I figured out. There's other ways to monetize that, of course, but so figure out where the value lies. What are people going to hold as valuable? What is it that you do? Again, like Mark Beaumont. He loves cycling. He loves riding his bike. But where people hold the value is, hey, I would watch a documentary about you traveling the world. I've seen that documentary like 10 times. I love it. Hey, I would read your book on your whole journey. That's where the value lies. People want to pay for that. All right. So, and then the other stuff is, this isn't a cookie cutter thing, but, try to monetize that. Try to figure out how to monetize that. But don't lose sight of your core value. This is what you love. This is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. It's pretty simple. So, I mean, the way that if you're doing stuff online, the way that you monetize or whatever is just, you try to gain an audience. You try to, get diehard people that are going to listen to what you have to say. They're going to eat up anything that you are putting out there. They're going to buy your merch. They're going to buy your music. They're going to pay for lessons. They're going to do whatever. You got to find your audience and speak only to them. Speak specifically to them. People that are trying to hear what you have to say, whatever that is. So, and then you got to try to monetize, of course. Again, if it's online stuff or whatever like that, not a cookie cutter way to do this. And maybe you have other ideas to monetize what you're doing. But, of course, there's always, as far as music goes, there's merch that you can sell online or in person. There's sponsors you can get, like if you're a podcast or something like that, product placement on YouTube videos. The list goes on and on and on. And that, again, that's not a cookie cutter way to do it. It's not just, this is a one size fits all. That's a whole nother subject on how to monetize, how to gain followers, how to do all that stuff. But I firmly believe that you have to pursue your passion and you have to be saying something. You have to be saying something that people want to listen to. So you can't just, it doesn't work if you're just putting stuff out there and trying to pay for ads so people will watch you, try to be somebody else. It's not genuine. The question is, though, to wrap this up, the question is, what validation badge do you need to do what you love unapologetically? Are you looking for validation from other people? Are you looking for somebody else to tell you what you should be doing? You have to think about what it is you truly love. Would you do this for free? What drives you? What's going to make you want to get out of bed in the morning and do it? But if you're looking for a validation badge from somebody else, let me be the first one to say it. I'm telling you right now, here and now, to go for it. Just go for it. Don't be silly or stupid or, and dive into the deep end without knowing how to swim. But what I mean is try to go for it. Push yourself to pursue that. Whatever it is you love, you truly love. So again, if you truly find something that you really love and you figure out how to make that your thing, whether that's for fun, whether it's a hobby, whether it's something that you're going to make a living off of, you got to go for it. I'm telling you right now, I'm the one. Let me be the voice of reason. Go for it. You won't regret it. You won't regret it. Don't wait until it's too late. Just go for it. If you choose something that you truly love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. Go for it. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Acceptance Podcast, episode 2. Yes, sir. So happy to be recording this episode for you guys today, and so happy that you guys decided to listen to it today. I hope it brings you a little bit of positivity and a little bit of hope and a little bit of motivation, especially in this time that we're living. It's crazy out there. So, but a lot of this stuff has helped me, and I hope it helps you. Before I go, I just want to let you guys know that, we really appreciate it if you go to the Drum Brigade website. Check out all the things that we got going on there. We have a really cool thing in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, chops and coffee. It's free. You just have to click the button, I want to join, and I'll send you the Zoom link, and you can warm up with us and hang out with us. That's really cool. And then we have an awesome merch store where you can find all kinds of merch. If you guys really want to help out, though, and support acceptance, support belonging, please help us out by leaving us a review. Give us a 5-star positive review if you really like this podcast on Apple or on Google Play or on any of the platforms. It really helps. It goes really far for us, and it helps us with the algorithms and helps us to move forward and get more people to listen and have some positivity in their life. So, if you guys can do that, that would be really helpful, and appreciate it very much. So, thank you guys once again for listening. This is the Drum Brigade Acceptance Podcast.
Drum Brigade.